Hi, hello, and welcome to Straightforward. My name is Carole Beckford, and this is episode 4 of season 2. I don't know if my guest has anything about numbers, but number 4 is always a good number. My very special guest today is none other than Stephen Cat Coore. A lot of you call him Cat Coore, an outstanding and long-standing and co-founder of the Third World Band, one of the best bands globally. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you so much, Carole. And you know it's my pleasure to be here.
Oh yes. When I was doing the promo for the show and people watched it on Twitter and so on, they were like, "You're able to get cats?" I'm like, "Yeah." Cat and I watch cricket together.
I don't know where they're coming from with that.
Listen, you've been on the road for 46 years, longer than a lot of people are watching the program. Kind of just sum up in 2 quick sentences, what has that been like?
Well, what I'd sum up is that I'd like a little more than 2 quick sentences. To sum up that. But, you know, a synopsis of my career, not my life, because my life started way before my my pop music career then,
Right.
you know. But I would say that it has been an experience, it has been a joy, it has been something that has molded me, has made me see the world, and has also made me understand a lot of people who I probably would never have had the chance to understand them if I wasn't given the chance to be someone who could be with them. So, you know, having said that, like being in France, being in Germany, being in Spain, you know, being in Africa, being in England, and cities, London, Los Angeles, and all over, it's given me a chance to really understand people, a lot of them who probably didn't even know who I was. But it's just put me in the right place, and for me to really, you know, see life and to really just understand what a gift I was given, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like when you went on tour in the early 70s, and, you know, this band from Jamaica, I mean, I'm sure we can find pictures of you guys when you were out there. What were some of the early reactions about you know, seeing this wonderful band from Jamaica?
Well, the early reactions were not just about the fact that we were very well rehearsed and we played well and we were bright and we could play music. That came out immediately, but what was on show here was music from Jamaica, which really wasn't at the time, you know, anything that I can say was like, well, it wasn't in the top draw of all the radio stations, the television stations and stuff. We never got any, you know, we didn't get no blind. And as Sean Paul said, so we not get no blind, but we fight through that. And what really touched me at the time was that the Black American stations and stuff had no time for us, for reggae.
Oh.
No time for us. All of our action was coming through white college stations. Yeah. And this movement of reggae really started in California. And we were lucky enough, after we did our first album, which is the Green Album with The Lady and the Donkey with Sata Masagana and Slavery Days and Brand New Beg and those songs.
Right.
You know, we did that in England, but Chris Blackwell sent us out to California where he thought, you know, the action was for reggae, because Toots had gone out there, done very well.
Yes, yes.
And Bob had opened for Sly and the Family Stone and blown him away.
Okay.
You know, you blow your Sly and the Family Stone at that time, you know, you're going on with things.
You're going on with
because
things,
these are the real boys. So I think that, you know, one of the best things I think about my career is that, do we know that we found love? We brought Black America to us.
Together.
Yeah, we brought R&B to us.
Yeah.
And they embraced us really well because, I mean, having done the Soul Train cruise, you know what that is like. I can't use the language, but let me put it this way. Our folks, Got down.
Down, boogie down, yes.
Yeah, from
Is it
real.
anything like the Jamrock cruise? No?
Yeah, well, the Soul Train cruise is extremely similar to the Jamrock cruise because it's the same concept, you know.
Right.
The music that they play on it is a lot of R&B, and they have one night where they have the Soul Train,
Right.
the train itself coming down.
Coming down, right.
And people put on back the high shoes with the fish inside it.
The
and all
wedges
that thing.
and...
Yeah, with the goldfish in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man, I saw one of those, man. The man dancing with the goldfish inside the show, man. Real goldfish, you know. So
Well,
I figured that that was like a very, I think Third World did a very great thing in bringing that, you know, that synergy with Now That We Found Love, which in terms of the band itself, Ibu, Willie, and of course myself too, but I mean, this was a song that we used to do when we were a hotel band and we played down at Casamonte, and them places there. Yeah, we used to do the OJ's version. And, you know, I don't know, between Nibu and Willie, they came up with this idea to do it in this style, and of course everybody reacted to it. And by the time we were finished with it, it was a massive hit. The funniest thing about it was a jam. It wasn't something that was organized and people brought something to the table. It's something that happened in the studio while we were there.
Oh.
And so after we had the rough thing, we said, boy, let's record it over. We couldn't beat the rough. We couldn't beat the rough. So we took the rough and edited and did this and did that.
And then cut it up and...
That's how we got it to that. But it's a landmark for us. And I just gave you a quick movement from when we first went out to when we actually, because that's really what the real story is, was when we went out to LA, we were very R&B, and the listeners were very raw reggae, white college kids listening to things. So it was hard for us to sell Third World to them. In fact, we were criticized and said, well, you know, these guys are not real reggae and all this kind of thing, you know. What is real reggae? You know, what's a real person? And then at the end of the day, no, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm hearing Rihanna doing a tune with Bojo, this and doing a thing. So all that argument has been rubbish.
Rubbish, because you have come full circle.
Exactly.
Yeah, but Now That We Found Love is probably played at certainly every club I've been to, white, Hispanic, wherever.
Right.
It is such a mix ready song.
Yeah, when it is like it's crossing over barriers.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you spoke about the early days, and so you had Prilly Hamilton.
Yeah.
Still sounds very good.
Fabulous singer, yeah.
Yeah, fabulous. But
first class.
yeah. And
Not
then,
only that, but Prilly and myself went to the bank and got the loan for Third World, you know. It's Prilly and me went and did that.
what did you use as collateral?
Daddy Coore.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about.
She like that?
Yes, I know, right? No, man. I actually had the opportunity to work with him. He's a fabulous gentleman. We're going to talk a little bit about Daddy Coore. Oh, yes. So, but that was indeed a great story. And then Prilly just decided that, you know, he drops into your concerts every now and again when he's available.
Of course.
I've heard him.
Yeah, man. Prilly is still welcome on the Third World stage any day of any week. And as I tell you, he calls me from time to time just to say hi and stuff. I really respect him as a friend. We were born on the same day, April 6th.
April 6th, yeah.
Yeah, and Benjamin too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh, that's a whole talented day by itself.
I like to think so.
When the Jackson 5 came here,
yeah,
you guys were a part of that with the Wailers. Tell us about that experience.
Well, this is an experience now that we could do one whole show on this, because what really happened was that we at the time were being managed by Evan Williams.
Right.
And Evan suggested to us that the Jackson 5 show was coming, and we had already been accepted as the opening act, right? And Evan said, you guys need to go and get your chops together and stuff. So we went down to St. Mary, to a house he had down there up in the hills.
Evan is the artist.
The one who, Evan Williams, the architect.
Architect from
Yeah,
Red Bones.
Red Bones.
Red Bones fame, right?
Right. And we went down there, and the whole idea was to make sure that we did the best show. And all we did was we just eat food, go to bed, get up in the morning, exercise, play football, and from 11 to 7 is pure music we play. We practice over and over and over again. And we were getting the show together, and we were getting things together. And one morning very early, I used to ride a CB 200.
Is you
And the night before I was riding, and I thought I saw a roadblock, and I threw him a weed. And next morning I started going back from a weed. And I got on my bike and rode back down to the part of the road where I thought I had thrown away this nice weed too, you know.
You mean you had it roll up in the spliff?
No, man, I had it in a little, days, them little roll thing, man. And when I got there, a bus pulled up and Tonto Harvey from Inner Circle came off the bus. And he said, "Cat, I'm so sorry to hear that your mom died." And I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "You mean my grandmother?" Some people said, "No, your mom died this morning, you know, you didn't hear yet." And I said, "No." Well, that ride back to that house, because there was no cell phone, the house had no phone. It's the longest ride of my life to go back up there. And when I got there, I turned the radio on, and the newscast came on to say that my mom had died. So I was 3 days away from the Jackson 5 show, and mom died. Yeah. And I still made the show, the band still made the show, and we did a great job, because it was my feeling that mom would have wanted me to make sure I did that.
But you talk about rehearsal, which is important, because I want people to understand that you said from after you wake up, exercise, play football, listen for the young musicians who are out there watching and listening. That is important. But then you rehearse from about 11 till 7.
Yeah, of course, we have to break and eat, you know, and sometimes 1 or 2 people have to sleep after thing. But you don't know, by 3, 4 o'clock. Yeah, by 3, 4 o'clock, we're back on track. And yeah, and sometimes when we were working too, we had structured it so that we'd finish at 7, so that people who wanted to do other things, like, you know, listen to radio, there was no TV, but listen to music, or you still wanted to go outside and, you know, relax or do whatever you want to do.
Do a crossword puzzle or, you know.
Yeah, at 7 o'clock, it was our thing to finish. And sometimes we would stay there and we'd be arguing over one part of what we were doing or something. We stayed till 8, 9 o'clock trying to just
perfect that little piece.
Right. And then everybody would just, you know, do their thing and whatever. And we wake up the next morning, we did the same thing.
Over and over.
Yeah, it was an exceptional time for us. The place is called Retreat in St. Mary.
In St. Mary,
yeah. And what we were on was a retreat. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so, I mean, for me, that whole Jackson 5 thing has a lot to do with my mom, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I lost her right there. She was my inspiration. She was the one who really got me going as a person in terms of music.
Music, right.
And at the end of the day, you know, that's very important when I think about it, having reached, you know, where I've reached now in my life. And yeah, that was a very special time for me. And it was kind of like a launching pad for the band.
For the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, Jackson 5, yeah, I think it was the ABC tour. I was but a tot.
Yeah, it was really fantastic. And Bob and the Wailers were brilliant too. In fact, Michael Jackson had a curfew, so he had to come on after us and then Bob. It wasn't set that way. It was set Third World, then Bob Marley and the Wailers, and then the Jackson 5. But the time got late, and Michael had to come on after us. Remember, his mother and father were there. There was a curfew. He was only, yeah.
He would have been what, about 7 or?
No man, he was older than that, man. Them time them I sing Ben and them tune there. He was 12, maybe 13, whatever. But it was one of these situations where the promoter was
Curfew for a performer.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, man. He had to come on after us, and then Bob came
And then
on
Bob
and
came on
closed.
after.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
All right, so, you know, you're listening to Straightforward, you're watching Straightforward, and I'm here with Coore. We're going to take a break and come right back.
Connect, create, and collaborate in the Jamaica Pegasus's new co-working spaces designed for you. Host your meetings in our office for one.
All right, so welcome back. Yeah, we're having, with Kat, listen,
Perfect,
it's
yeah.
going to be an exciting experience. And he was just checking the dates. He's a perfectionist. You hear him rehearse day after day. And if you're on the road 46 years and you're still ranked as one of the best, I mean, best, not just reggae, like one of the best bands in the world. I mean, California loves you. So Michael Jackson would have been 17 at the time. And he was under curfew, 17 at that time, and could have drive.
Yeah, it wasn't on a curfew.
Oh, dear. All right, so, you'd have had some experience. You originally, the albums back in what, 76? You started to tour Europe by then?
Yes. 1975 was our debut with Bob Marley at the Lyceum in London.
In London, right?
Yeah. And from there, we did the UK tour with him. We did Birmingham, we did Manchester, and we did London.
So that was Kaya.
No man, that is Natty Dread.
Oh, Natty Dread, right? That's Natty Dread. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mixing them up. Yeah.
So
Wow.
that was very special for us now because that is giving us a launch now. That is even just, I mean, we're playing at home with Michael Jackson and we're a good band, so we can bring that off. But we're playing now in London before Bob Marley, and that's the next thing. So. And that was really successful for us too. We did really, really well on that tour.
But you did, because by then you had Bunny Ruggs.
No, we had Prilly at that time.
Oh, it was Prilly at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because our first album has Prilly on it, you know. The green album with the lady and the donkey, that's
Yeah.
Prilly. But 96 Degrees is Bunny.
It's Bunny.
Right, so in between those two albums is where Prilly would have
By the
parted
way,
company with us.
I still have those albums at home. I was trying to surprise you to walk with the actual LPs.
Yeah.
But they're...
But too much rain.
No, them at my mom's house. So I couldn't, when I called her, she actually told me that, oh, they're in your room. I still have a room at my mom's house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 96 Degrees in the Shade. What was that song in tribute to?
The song is really a tribute to Paul Bogle and 1865 Uprising. And how it came about is that, well, I was actually in a studio. We were rehearsing in a studio that we used to call Ludix. And the studio was, just picture it, lower than this. And there were no windows, no air conditioning. So I was in the shade and it was very hot. And I just came up with 96 degrees in the shade, real hot. But, you know, there was nothing else that I didn't start just writing, you know, lyrics and this and that. It's when Ibu came and he sat down and he heard the chorus, 96 degrees in the shade, and he said, boy, this one here, you know, we can't joke around with this. And eventually discussions came about and stuff, and we decided to write a song about Paul Bogle.
Paul Bogle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you see, that sounds like a...
Each one of us wrote a verse.
That sounds like an academic process. In other words, it was well thought out. Would you say, what was inspiring the writing of your songs at the time?
Not one thing or two things especially. I mean, what can I tell you? Inspiration is very hard to describe or to define. It's something that when it comes along, you're grateful. And, you know, I mean, and if it's successful, you're even more grateful. But any inspiration you need to be grateful for. There are people who have painted wonderful pictures. They don't rate them. But people who may see those pictures in years to come probably rate them. I mean, you know. And that goes for songs too. I bet there are many, many songs that Third World has done, other acts have done that maybe haven't got the recognition now, but they will live forever.
Oh, absolutely.
And at some point in life, maybe somebody will give them
the credit that they're
that they probably deserve. That
so
they
like
probably
a song like
deserve.
Rhythm of Life, Light Up Yourself.
Bad.
Bad.
Yeah, terrible.
May I tell you? Light up yourself, you know, the rhythm of life.
Yeah, man.
I know.
Wicked.
Boy, let me tell you. So, you would have backed and you would have led and you would have opened for a lot of different groups. Anyone that stands out, you know, I'm trying to put you on the spot, because you can't just look at 46 years being everywhere and just...
Well, I think that one of the tours I think that really helped to define the band was touring with Santana. Because Carlos had been an big influence on my life as a guitar player. And the band itself had been very kind of like Third World, you know, very much a band that had people in it who played solos and did harmonies and stuff like that. So I think touring with Carlos for me was a moment where I thought Third World had really arrived then as a band, you know. And I think that being on the show at Carnegie Hall with Wycliffe Jean and his whole crew with Eric Clapton and you know and those kind of people were on the show and Bear J. Blige.
Oh, she's an excellent performer, powerful.
Yeah, man.
I couldn't let you go without asking, how did the name Third World? Why was the band named Third World Band?
You remember Clancy Eccles?
Yes, I've heard the name, sir.
Well, he's the one who really inspired that name because we were in the 70s and we're coming up on Michael Manley, you know, and the whole non-aligned movement and it, you know, the whole business describing countries that are trying as third world countries. And Clancy said we should call ourselves Sons of the Third World, which is where we started, Sons of the Third World. And then somewhere along the way, I think it may have been Island Records with Chris, and then just decided drop the Sons thing and just say Third World.
Yeah, because you all grew up.
Right. We grew up in that time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
How did the politics of the time kind of help you to morph into the band now? In other words, so you started out in the 70s, highly, you know, socialism and, you know, with your father being in the People's National Party and so on. How did that impact or influence anything that you all did and how you attempted to do business in the world?
Well, it impacted everyone. You know, it's not a situation where there was anyone in Jamaica that wasn't impacted by Michael Manley. You know, he's out of the top draw for me personally. And a boy can't tell me nothing. And,
or no girl for that matter.
Yeah, or a girl for that matter. And his influence and his I mean, really was, if you the best thing I can say is if you miss that time, you miss something. Because what I saw happening that time, I thought was very, very special. And I think Jamaica has eras. You know what I mean? Because even when I look at even Eddie Seara's era, there are things there that I look at and I say, rotted boy. I was glad to see that happening at the era. Shabba Ranks, Yellow Man.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
I was happy to see all of that happen. And that is what I think is really what fueled Clancy to tell us that we should call the band Third World. I think it was good. It hasn't always worked for us around the world because people say, some people criticize it and say, well, why would you want to be that? I mean, don't you guys want to get out of that? Don't you want to get out of that? Oh, that's so third world, you know?
Yeah, but there's nothing third world about the band.
Well, there is. In
Meaning
terms
in the
of
context of...
Yeah, but in terms of our ability to do things, we were able to get first world training and love from our parents, and not from our parents alone, but from us growing up, our influences, Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, Bob Marley and the Wailers. We were never one-dimensional.
Oh, absolutely.
You understand? So that helped us to be, you know, on top of our game, that we could go and perform with first world people. But You know, we are from the third world and we embrace Latin music, African music, reggae music, and R&B. That's all four things.
Yeah.
And all of them are African.
Wow.
Every single one of them is African. So it's it's a two-way street kind of thing. But you're right. Nothing necessarily third world about how the band does their thing.
Oh no.
I agree. And you just have to understand that, boy, we didn't want to be second best in anything. We were very hard workers where that is concerned. We used to practice a lot, rehearse a lot, and our harmonies particularly. People say, boy, one thing about third world, them harmonies. You know how hard we work on that?
Are you still rehearsing?
Yeah, man, very, very, very hard. Very hard. Even the present band that is here, well, you know the Damian Marley album.
Oh, yeah?
How good that is and
I know.
how wonderful we have done with that.
Yeah.
And it's a joy to be in 2020 and to know that we have just done that. But
and to be working with youngsters who are your children's ages.
Yes, it's special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that whole group with Chronics and some of those guys.
Yeah, man, of course.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's just a little bit, well, you know, what can I tell you? I mean, we've had nothing to really cheer about since March this year. And it's really been hard for us because we were nominated for the Grammy. I mean, obviously we didn't win. Coffee won.
Right.
And more kudos to her. But it's not even that we were even looking for a Grammy Award win, but it's just that the album did so well. And we would have been touring all over Europe. Right now I've been just becoming, right?
Yeah, because you'd have been getting ready for December.
Right, and December is not usually a great time for reggae artists. A great time is the summer. Anywhere from May right back to September is pure festivals in Europe, festivals in America. You're on the go, you're busy, And that's why you see Damien does his cruise in December.
In December, because it fills a gap.
Yeah.
That's great
and
marketing.
most of the people are not touring, they're free.
Yeah.
And he can get them to go with him and stuff. But the COVID thing has really shut a door, let me put it that way. And it's difficult for me personally to even talk about it because we have done nothing for many months. And doing things like this are nice. And when Clive Munn called me and said, "Cat, come play a tune for me," and I'm going to the studio and play, it feels so good because I'm actually doing something. But it's been very, very, very difficult for us musicians. Very, very difficult.
I can understand, but because I know of your metal, you could use the time to start writing that book.
Yeah.
Mr. Coore.
I'm trying,
Yes, your father would have wanted you to do that.
You're applying for a ghostwriter position.
No, sir. Boy, that's a third world story. Yeah, I'd write a chapter. Of all the years I followed the group around. From a fan's perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, even this interview in terms of how you've been able to, because the musicians have not gotten a chance to tell their stories. And while the break has been extended during the COVID time, I find that some of the, what you'd call adjustment, you can do some little things that you wouldn't normally have time to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
A lot of my personal experience has been that, well, for quite some time, I really didn't feel like doing anything, to be honest with you. I just felt a little bit down under the weather. I just felt that, boy, this was a blow dealt to us musicians that was really hard. I looked more recently now, I looked at sports.
Ha-ha.
Right?
I'm going to take the break because I don't want you to start the sports conversation before. But we're going to take a break, and when we come back, you'll hear about explantation, sport. He loves cricket, and thinks he knows cricket, and a lot of other stuff. Continue to watch us right here on Straightforward. I'm here with Cat Coore.
Connect, create, and collaborate in the Jamaica Pegasus' new co-working spaces designed for you. Host your meetings in our office for one or office for up to 4 persons. Book your private office space today for 4 hours, 1 day, 7 days, or more, and get free Wi-Fi, coffee, bottled water, concierge service, free parking, discounted meals, and more. Reserve your office space today by calling 876-926-3690 or visit www.jamaicapegasus.com. Looking for the perfect weekend? Treat yourself to a relaxing stay at the Jamaica Pegasus with our weekend getaway specials starting at $132 US, now until December. Enjoy a complimentary buffet breakfast, discounted spa services, early check-in, late checkout, and more. To book your weekend getaway, visit www.jamaicapegasus.com or call us at 876-926-3690.
Welcome back. We're still here with Stephen Coore and, Third World Band, one of the best anywhere in the world. At the risk of sounding like a groupie, that's what they call them, I would have seen them in a number of cities. And I would have seen them everywhere in Jamaica. Probably not as early as Sunsplash, but I was too young. I can't say this on air that I was teething out to go to Sunsplash. My mother would rough me up.
Right.
But anyway, listen, even at this age, you can get rough up on your mother. You say that. Listen, Third World did something innovative back in the mid-70s with combination with the late Professor Hicklin.
And Tommy Pinnock.
And Tommy Pinnock. A thing called Explanitations. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, what was happening is that 96 Degrees album had been released. And there was, well, when we came out with the Green album, the first one,
you're still talking.
We really launched ourselves to Jamaican people. They really loved us. But when we did 96 Degrees, we were very kind of esoteric. We were not like, in other words, we never had anything playing on the radio. We never had, Channel 1 was the boys that were kicking at the time.
Right.
And, Elaine Wint, who Colin Les at the time was very associated with us, she said, why you should talk to Freddie and see what you can do to get your image.
Out there.
So that you can sell this beautiful music you have to the common Jamaican people because they're not playing it on the radio. You're not, and we were still Third World, the uptown guys who were great and everything.
Do you think that had something to do with it?
It had everything to do with it.
Can you call yourself Uptown Rebel on occasion?
No, it had everything to do with it. And what happened was, what Fred Hicklin did was he came along and he said, look, let's do something outrageous here. We're going to write a script and we're going to get Tommy Pinnock to come and choreograph you guys and we're going to go to Little Theatre and we're going to put on a show. And boy, let me tell you, the rest is history.
I know, the reports in the Gleaner. When I was doing some research on
this
you
is
guys,
a success story that you, a
whole episode.
When you see a success story unfold in front of your eyes, it's something because you yourself are a part of it and you're not believing it. You're not believing it.
Because you were so steeped into the music. You wanted the music part of your...
Well, it wasn't so much that, we had the faith in the album. We never had any problem with the faith in our album. In fact, the album was actually getting rave reviews in London, even though it wasn't selling as well as the Green one. But it was getting rave reviews in the press.
The Green album had the lady on the donkey, don't forget.
Yeah, and don't forget that it's the only one picked by Chris Blackwell in his top 50 albums of all time. Yes. So put that in the bank for me, please.
Yeah, I tell you.
All right, good.
That says a lot, the fact that Chris...
Yeah.
Yeah, and he knows how to pick them, boy.
Of course, and what about Now That We Found Love, Journey to Addis? What album that is? One Cold Vibe Could Spoil the Boogie, Journey to Addis. Now That We Found Love. Hello?
One of the greatest dance tunes.
Exactly. So
Still today?
I thought that one would make his 50, but it's a green one with the donkey, and that made the thing. Yeah.
By the way, talking about dance, can you dance?
Me?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
You mean as
Well, look how old people are now, so some can dance.
Cat, you're still a tourist.
Come
Stop.
on,
I mean,
man.
before COVID.
Carole, man, I'm not in that with you, man.
I see you do some little moves when you're on stage with the guitar. And
Oh, you have to do moves. You can't stand up there like an idiot. You have got to do some moves.
I know.
Yeah, you see Chris Gale's moves? You saw that?
I know you're burning to talk about Chris Gale.
Oh my God. Well, I saw the video and it freaked me out, man. I didn't know he could DJ. And the whole way he presents himself, man, is out of the top drawer.
Yeah, but the man called himself Universe Boss. What you
Yeah,
saying?
Universe Boss feel like a cricket ball, but when the lady, the Indian lady who's singing, she have her little Janet Jackson thing going on, you know, you saw it?
Yes.
So like her 4 girls with her and thing, and when my boy come, man, him bad, man, bad.
No, and so they call him Crampy, right? Because him not too mobile, but he got some moves in that video.
You have some cool moves, man, and that's really great to see that too, you know? I mean, I'm a person who likes to feel that sports and music are really very, 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 they're very close relatives.
Yeah, extremely.
Yeah.
They're both entertainment.
Exactly. But I mean, they're very close relatives in terms of like what they bring to people. But they have a disjoint in that what COVID has shown me is that sports can continue because of the competition.
Right.
But music is really all about the closeness of people. So in other words, then you can still have the French Open. You can still have Wimbledon. You can still have, the Premier League that's being played right now. The IPL is just finishing up here right now.
Right.
And all of these things have been done without crowds.
Yeah, but they use music, recorded music.
Yeah, they use recorded music and stuff without crowds. There is no possible way third world can set up without a crowd. None of us can do it.
Or you couldn't perform in a...
Well, what I did was I did a live stream with Freddie, which I really enjoyed, and I did Joe Bogdanovich live stream for some festival.
For some fest, right?
Yeah, but we have to understand that that's not when the people are there with you. That's what music is all about. So sports contest is great. Nobody's at Kemana Park, but I'm still watching the racing. You see what I mean?
But your songs, some of your songs are on playlists.
Yeah.
Making people like myself in a good mood.
Yeah.
You want dance, do the exercise at home. Now that we found love and those songs are on your
yeah,
the
and that's very appreciated. But basically what I'm saying is that what I do is I get up on stage and there are people out there shouting. Either them flinging buckle or them love you. Right, two of them.
Have you ever been bottled?
Yeah, man, I will a buckle or two, man.
Which parts? No, sir, we never hear that. That never get reported.
Come on, don't bother with that, man. We won't come from buckling every time, but it's not worth talking about, so.
Oh, dear.
And not for my fault.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've seen you out Kaya Fest. I was in San Bernardino, when was that, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And the crowd they were like enamored. And in those shows though, people are not, there's nobody worrying about opening or closing. You just know Sir will go and perform at 4:12 to 5 o'clock.
Right.
And people come, and when how is that any different from the Jamaican or the Caribbean experience where, based on your title, you either open or close? How does that differ as you go around the globe?
Well, that school of thought has not been really the modus operandi for the last couple of years, because you have some artists who they will not perform last. They want to be right before last. They do not want to be last. Maxi Priest will not close a show. He wants to be either third before the closing or second before the closing. So it comes down to a time when people feel this is a spectacular time between 9 and 10. That's the slot I want. Don't give me 12 to 1 when people start saying, well, we want to go home and we're tired and this and that and that. So it's very hard to get any artist to close some fest because you're coming out at 6 in the morning.
Oh, well, we saw that some fest actually kept their time this year because of, the restrictions. So
yeah. No, that's fine, But even probably the last experience, I don't know whether you went to the one last year, even the one last year still had the same kind of thing, but they were very good though. They kept the times very good. And it's one of the things that I have great respect for And I can talk about that, like the Hollywood Bowl, when we go and play there, you know, there's no joke. I mean, if you go 10 seconds over your time, and there's a big clock right beside me, I'm the band leader, you know, and there's a big clock there, and it's counting me down. So most of the rehearsals, we would have had that down. We would have run the whole set and count it down with the clock. So I know we have at least 10, 15 seconds where, because the stage is going to turn, you know, whether you're done or not, it's going to just turn and the next act is coming up.
It's coming up, right?
Yeah, so I think that some indiscipline has prevailed in our, you know, approach to things through the years, but I think we're getting much better. And hopefully when things come back to normal, we'll not have that kind of, we'll be able to run shows on time and you know, and people won't have to worry about closing, you know.
We're coming up to the closing part of this show, and you know, we're going to ask you when we come back a little bit about Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
You met in Jamaica in 1976, but we're going to take a break and come right back. Hi, I'm Carole Beckford, and I'm your host for Straightforward. Season 1 brought you some of the best acts to follow. We took you to the cricket pitch, the studio, musical stage, classroom, and behind the scenes. Our theme embraces nation building and role modeling. You'll hear stories you've never heard before. Let us take you on that journey. So join us for Season 2, which is coming up soon. Straightforward, always a step ahead. Straightforward is shot on location at the Jamaica Pegasus, Kingston's preferred hotel. Welcome back. This is our last segment, and well, we still have a lot of things to talk about. Stephen Cat Coore is still here. Stephen Coore, OD.
Yes.
When you got the national award?
9 years ago, maybe.
It's so long?
8, 9 years ago, yeah.
Okay. Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, man, give thanks. Before Buddy died, and he died in 14, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But we have to talk about the Master Blaster, Stevie Wonder. I think he's probably one of the greatest artist, performer ever. When you combine everything, but you'd have had a chance to do a thing. How you found him?
But certainly I would say that he is probably the greatest entertainer I ever met. I mean, I've met a few, but I think the specialness of him not being able to see and what he was able to achieve as a human being is scary. And his ability to bring people together and his niceness as a human being. It's the humility that comes with the package, you know. That's the real key with him.
Yeah.
And, you know, our real connection with him was 1981 when Bob died.
Bob died, right.
And he came down to Jamaica and he decided to spend some time down in the country, and he wanted to be close to Jamaica and stuff. And we came back from a tour of Europe, and we were going to play on Sunsplash that year, and he sent a message that he'd like to come on and do a cameo with us at Sunsplash. And so we came in like the Thursday, we were going to play the Saturday, and the Friday afternoon we went up to Stevie and we had to do rehearsals with him, and that was a trip, but we were able to get something together with him appearing with us for Now That We Found Love and Master Blaster too, and it's something that all know people say is one of the greatest moments, and I'm very happy for that. And he also came out at Carnegie Hall with us. I mentioned that one earlier.
Yeah.
Came out and played harmonica. And and he also was with us at Pasadena Rose Bowl Stadium for the concert there. The name slipped me right now, but
Yeah, you have done that.
the big to raise money, the big concert to raise money, and
yeah, it slips me right now.
yeah,
But
it
I know
slipped me
it's
right
out
now
in
too.
Pasadena.
But yeah, at the Rose Bowl, Amnesty International.
Amnesty International,
Right.
right.
And you know, just knowing him and being able to interact with him and being able to sit close with him in the studio, and he would just tee off on the piano and just start playing stuff, and you just sit there like, wow, So it's a special blessing given to me, and I appreciate it, Father. I love you very much for that. And as I say, he's one of the greatest, and I understand he's not so well right now, so sending all prayers and love for him. Yeah, and we just hope that we can see him again go around his piano and play something for us, because he's very, very special.
Very special. So you'd have done Sunsplash, Sumfest, Jamaica Jazz and Blues Festival. Then you had your own show. You'd have also done Rebel Salute, and if I never said that, big up Tony Rebel.
Of course, every time, yeah.
I tell you.
Yeah.
But you also have some solo performances that you do with your cello. Is it your favorite instrument?
No, not necessarily. I think the guitar is my favorite instrument, but I think the cello is an instrument that sort of, it's tied on to me, because that's where I'm coming from.
Right.
And I learned...
That's very uptown, by the way.
And I learned string playing by that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What's very uptown?
The cello.
No, man. No, but the cello, is it's a 4-string instrument made out of wood, That cannot be uptown. That's an instrument. You mean you conceive it to be uptown?
No, there's a concept of it. No, listen, I'm reflecting.
Oh, you're just reflecting? Make it clear.
Yes.
No, I hear you, and I understand, yeah. Yes, you consider the cello uptown until you're walking through the subway in New York and you see a guy with a hat there in front of him and he's playing the cello. And then, when you're throwing your $2, you realize it's not necessarily uptown and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a perception that we've been led to believe that regular musicians play
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's a perception. It's a perception. But, as I say, it led me to string playing. And so by the time I really got into wanting to play the guitar, I already had a little experience with a string instrument, which really, really helped me to get along quickly. Other people who were with me, who were learning the guitar at the time, they found it harder than I did, because the background I had playing the cello, so it's a plus. It's a plus for me, and I give thanks. That's the most I can do.
Right. After Bunny Ruggs passed, because as we come close to the end, we thought that when we heard AJ Brown was joining, of course, there's some anticipation, will he do well? But as a fan, I think he learned the repertoire very quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, even on some of the songs I hear, if you don't look at them immediately, if you don't look at you guys immediately, you could almost like you're hearing Bunny Ruggs in the background.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. But you see what happened, Carole? AJ Brown is a consummate artist that studied his trade and did his thing in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And he had to perform everywhere. He had to perform very well every night. And that set him up. So when the time came and Ruggs got ill, and we had some gigs that were in Europe. We were going to go on the biggest gig in Poland. It's something like 750,000 people were going to be there. And we were saying to ourselves, "Boy, we really cannot do this." And Ruggs was saying, "Boy, you guys need to go and do this thing," and all of that. And I said to myself, let me call AJ. And by the time AJ and myself spoke, how it really happened was that I was doing interviews for Sirius Radio. And I did an interview with AJ. And right after that, this whole thing developed. So I called him back and I said, AJ, how you feel about doing this gig? And he said, yeah, man, I can do it and stuff. And he went off and he studied the tunes. And as he says, we threw him to the wolves because his first gig was 700,000 people, and he was forgetting lyrics and coming up with some wrong things, singing. And I mean, nothing to do with tone or range or precision. Just he forgot the words here or he forgot the words there. But I can tell you one thing, he has grown into his position magnificently.
I know, and him still spitting at his age, because AJ is not.
Yeah, no man, AJ is bad out of this world, man. And not only that, but look at what he did on the album with Damien.
Yes.
It's really special.
That song is particularly impressive. That, you know, that after 4.5 decades, that you're still producing high quality music.
Well, that has to do with the brother with the long hair. And him walk here, so I have to take it up behind him like this. It's my boy, you know.
I know. He expresses his fondness of his Uncle Cat. He talks about you a lot. We're talking about Damian Marley. All right, so because we're coming up to the end of the show, let's get into some personal stuff. I know you like sports. What's your favorite?
Cricket by far. You know, cricket by a long shot. But I'm very big into soccer too. I'm into anything where people are competing and they're good.
What team, what English Premier League team you support?
Manchester City, Chelsea, you know.
You have 2 teams?
Yeah, man, I have about 3 or 4.
Oh.
I kind of like Arsenal now too, because them get Willian and David Luiz and them kind of man.
No, you're a sports analyst, so you know what you probably should do?
Is come back again and me and you, the sports.
Yes. Because did you watch the NBA in the bubble?
No, I didn't watch the NBA in the bubble because basketball, I never usually watch it until it comes right down to the end. You know what I mean? It's not one of my favorites, but it was certainly very good and well deserved, I think.
Yeah.
Well
What about track and field?
Love track and field too. Looking for good things from Elaine.
Yeah, well, she was nominated for the IAAF.
Yeah, man, I appreciate what she did this year. She came back and showed what kind of metal she's made of.
Yeah, man.
You know, yeah. And that's absolutely wonderful. And, you know, the women's cricket are looking for them to rebound too because they're a great team.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll be back. They'll be back.
You played in front of the World Cup 2007. Down in Trelawney.
Yeah, for the opening. Yeah. And the World Cup coming up to with the cricketing next year too.
Oh, okay.
2020 or 2021.
Yes, they moved it down to
Right. And we have men going to New Zealand now to take on some serious boys.
I know it's tough down in New Zealand.
I know, really hard.
Nobody hardly ever wins down there in New Zealand.
I know, it's hard to play down there, but...
All right, so Kat, I'm putting you on the spot. The book, when are you going to start the book?
Well, you know, right now I'm in the market for a ghostwriter and I put out my thing already, so I waited to hear back from Carole Beckford and we'll see.
All right, are you going into the studio anytime soon? Because I figure the COVID you anticipate when you're going back on the road? Or what you're doing, any concerts coming?
Well, there have been some suggestions for next year early. There have been some business talking about some parking lot shows and stuff. Some big supermarket chains in America want to do it. I can't call the name right now, but it's not a bad idea. People with cars drive up and you have the concert and stuff. And we're one of the acts that's being considered. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
And as far as the studio is concerned, I'm really looking forward to getting back with Damien, but I'm not really so energized to jump on up. Other people are, but I'm not so energized to go playing right now. And I'm just waiting to see how our situation here
pans out.
Yeah. But it's not looking too bad, but it's not looking too good. So I'm right in the middle here right now. So, you know, as I say, we'll see what happens, and I pray to God for all of us that, you know. Oh, I wanted to say that I'm absolutely saddened at the passing of Dalton Brown.
Yes.
And as you know, I pray for his family, and I'm sending love to Glenn, Danny, all of the boys, and you know, also Toots and his family. And
yeah, that was tough.
Yeah.
We've lost some really good, entertainment professionals have.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Sean
Connery. Yeah.
He loved Jamaica.
I know. And he was a special person too. He impacted all of our lives. So, so anyway, just give thanks and praise. And thanks so much for...
It was good.
Thanks so much for entertaining me.
It was great to have you, my darling.
Thank you so much.
We're here on location at the Jamaica Pegasus. My guest was Stephen Coore. I want to thank our technical team, Ryan Esson, Junior Williams, Ryan Bailey, production assistant Andre Helms. We had 2 people in the studio. Won't call their names, won't let it out. But we have another exciting show coming up next. Thanks for joining us one more time, straightforward. We're always a step ahead. On the next episode of Straightforward, this woman is a trendsetter. She's been CEO of John John Music Group for the last 9 years and is creating pathways for the new and established entertainers. Before that, in corporate life, she was a top-class marketer where she influenced how elite athletes and personalities were positioned globally. She's the exciting and entertaining Shelly Ann Curran. She'll join us on Straightforward, Tuesday, November 10th from the Jamaica Pegasus. Join us to hear more. We're always a step ahead.
Straightforward. With Carole Beckford. Always a step ahead.